After admitting to killing his wife in a fit of passion, Rafael Robb is charged with voluntary manslaughter and sentenced to 10 years for the brutal killing of his wife, Ellen. After serving the full 10, Robb was released from prison just this past January. Ellen's family says, hold on.
He can't simply go back into society unfettered while the memory of my sister fades away. Ellen is serving a lifetime sentence in the grave that we all share, and he is out free. It's very, very troubling.
Outraged by the light sentence, Ellen's family wants justice and moves ahead with their wrongful death lawsuit filed during Rafael's attempt at a 5-year parole.
In looking back at the plea deal today, and the fact that Robb only served a 5 to 10 year sentence, it weighs heavily on the family.
Ellen's family hires attorneys Andrew Duffy and Robert Mangaluzzi to represent their civil case.
The family talked to us and they asked us to prove what they believe could be proved, and that this was a premeditated murder.
And after reviewing the evidence, they think they have a strong case.
Anybody who did this to any human being, let alone his wonderful wife and mother of his only child, should spend every second of their life in jail for the rest of their life.
The plaintiff's attorneys break down the evidence that they presented to a civil jury. They start at the beginning, Rafael's phone call to police.
Rafael Robb did not call 911.
That's right, he called the direct police line. And why is that significant?
He wanted to set up his alibi. He didn't want to be recorded. He would have known that 911 would record his call.
Another thing they say points to premeditation, the complete lack of blood evidence found on Rafael. Attorneys Duffy and Mangaluzzi argue, how in the world would that be possible in the middle of such a bloodbath?
He claimed that somehow after the murder in this slaughterhouse, that he took off his shirt, his pants, his socks, and his shoes, somehow hopped across the blood-spattered floor to the hallway, went upstairs, found baby wipes, cleaned himself up, changed into clothes without a drop of blood. It was incredible, implausible, and an absolute lie.
They have their own theory to explain the lack of blood on Rafael and its explosive new evidence.
He had a Tyvek suit. Police found an additional Tyvek suit, a hazmat suit in his BMW.
Make that 2 hazmat-style suits, according to the plaintiff's attorneys. One suit used in the murder, and the other a backup suit he forgot to discard with the other evidence.
If Rafael Robb was a chemist, if he worked at an industrial plant, he would have a potential justification for having a Tyvek suit in his BMW. Rafael Robb was a professor of economics at the University of Pennsylvania. There was no rhyme or reason why he would have a Tyvek suit in the back of his BMW.
Attorneys Duffy and Mangaluzzi claim it's the most reasonable explanation for why there wasn't any blood on Rafael.
We proved that the blood trail stopped abruptly in the garage. And that only means that a Tyvek suit was on, was taken off, was discarded. So the only thing left after the Tyvek suit was taken off was a blood-free murder.
Then there's the issue of the murder weapon, which was never recovered.
Rafael Robb claims that he began to argue with Ellen. He grabbed a chin-up bar and that he beat her to death with it. Those wounds that were found on Ellen Gregory Robb were sharp, lacerating wounds. They are consistent with a sharp object such as a crowbar and not a round chin-up bar.
Then they enter into evidence, pictures of the Robb's garage and the tools.
We had a picture of all the tools lined up, and a crowbar happened to be missing. The physical facts pointed that this was not a chin-up bar. This was absolutely a jagged-edged instrument such as a crowbar.
Which the plaintiff's attorneys argue means he had to go find the weapon. It wasn't just nearby and grabbed in a fit of rage. It shows pre-thought and planning on Rafael's part. Also, they claim a crowbar-type weapon better explains the horrific damage done to Ellen's head.
I will never be able to get those photos out of my mind. Ellen was unidentifiable. He had literally beaten her face in to remove her identity.
The civil trial lawyers then point to something obvious: Rafael Robb's job at the University of Pennsylvania. He's an economics professor who specializes in, get this,
Game theory.
it's the science of logical decision-making involving strategic thinking and planning.
People who are proficient in game theory plan things out, they have backup plans.
In plain terms,
This was a premeditated murder.
He had it all planned out, but he didn't plan for his story unraveling so quickly.
then they introduce a letter written by Rafael to his daughter Olivia 2 years after the murder.
This is the letter that, in hindsight, was the single most important piece of evidence at the civil trial.
In the letter, Rafael is asking for photos of his daughter and the two of them together. He's hoping to show that he's a good father in order to receive a lighter punishment during the sentencing phase. In exchange, he promises to send her Christmas gifts and money.
He goes on, "I'd hate to delay sending you the gift, but I won't do so unless I get these items. Won't the love of money propel you into action? Love and kisses, Dad, XO, XO, XO."
And with all this damning evidence, the civil trial kicks off, and attorney Mangaluzzi comes out swinging in his opening remarks. In civil court transcripts, he states, "You are a killer and a liar, Mr. Robb, aren't you?" Rafael responds, "Killer, yes. Liar, too, yes." Also, this stunning courtroom exchange, where it appears Rafael is blaming his wife for her own murder. It goes like this. Rafael says, "My wife pushed me." Mangaluzzi, "So you're claiming to this jury that Ellen provoked you into murdering her, is that right?" Rafael responds, "She pushed me. I got angry. I lost my faculties. That's what happened." Then the biggest moment arrives, and the plaintiff's attorneys call their star witness.
The doors open up. She walks up to the stand, and the jury doesn't see a 12-year-old girl anymore.
Now they see a 20-year-old young lady. It's Olivia. This is the first time she's seen her father, Rafael, since that fateful day 8 years before.
It was the most emotional, dramatic event that may have been witnessed in any courtroom, anywhere.
Olivia's testimony is documented in court transcripts. A portion of her testimony reads this way. Attorney Duffy says, "Olivia, before your father took your mother from you, did you fear your father?" Olivia responds, "Yes." Attorney Duffy, "Why?" Olivia, "My father could just lose his temper really rapidly and quickly."
Olivia testified that, and ended her testimony with, the thing that disappoints her most when she meets new people is that those new people don't get to meet her mother.
The civil trial ends, and the attorneys for Ellen's estate rest.
We proved that Rafael Robb intentionally and with premeditation murdered his wife. This was no crime of passion.
And the jury agrees, awarding the largest civil suit payout in Pennsylvania history.
$124 million.
Despite all the evidence in the civil trial, Rafael Robb is out of prison. Yes, living as a free man. He walked out from behind bars in January of 2017 after serving his full 10-year sentence for manslaughter. And while Robb can never be tried a second time for murder, Ellen's family has decided to turn their tragedy into triumph. They create the foundation Every Great Reason, an acronym for Ellen's initials.
We have passionately worked for nearly a decade to achieve many goals on behalf of victims of domestic violence and abuse.
Most notably creating Ellen's Law, which allows victims to meet with the parole board prior to any prisoner's release. And helping others is bringing some solace to Ellen's family. But they're still learning to live with the loss.
When she walked in, she would light up a room, and she would do so in a way that was not centered on herself, but on, but on all of those around her. just an amazing individual.
Tragically, taken by the hands of a monster.
He slaughtered his wife as something out of a horror movie. And in a horror movie, there is always a monster. And the monster here was Rafael Robb.
For more on the civil case currently pending against Rafael Robb in Philadelphia, I'm joined by Andrew Duffy, who represents Ellen Robb's family. Drew, I know the judge recently scolded Rafael Robb in court. What is the very latest on the civil judgment?
Well, he did upset the judge. The judge told him, Dr. Robb, your words have meaning. Please understand that. The very latest is right now we are on a pursuit to literally find every single asset that Dr. Robb has in the world, because the judge has given us this ability to conduct what's called financial discovery. In the financial discovery, we get to learn the total value of all of his assets.
And what do you think the total value of those assets is?
Right now, they're roughly between $3 and $4 million.
Robb recently said in court that he wanted to move to Pittsburgh, but if he didn't have enough money to do so, he would return to the family home where he killed his wife. Is there any justice to that?
There's no justice to that. Is it possible legally? Yes. Unfortunately, there's something in Pennsylvania called the Slayer statute. The Slayer statute gives murderers, believe it or not, what's called a life estate in the house that they used to own jointly with the person that they murdered. So does he own it? No. Can he return to it and live in it till he dies? Yes, he can legally. Is it probable? No. Wayne, Pennsylvania is a wonderful, close-knit community. I highly doubt he will want to move back there.
He recently asked the court for a $100,000 advance from the estate.
Well, his requests were ludicrous, they were insulting, and they told you everything you need to know about the delusional mentality he has right now. He first asked for a nice car, he asked for money for supplemental insurance, and then he actually had the audacity to ask the judge for $50,000 to get his teeth fixed.
$50,000.
His daughter Olivia, who was the primary beneficiary of her mother's estate, hasn't received a penny yet. And this monster wants $50,000 to get his teeth fixed. That's not going to happen. And that was a huge tactical mistake too, because what happened during that request for $100,000 is that he took the stand. So that allowed me to cross-examine him. That's when he divulged that he had another bank account overseas. And that was critically important, because that bank account wasn't previously disclosed in sworn affidavits. And that's exactly what has him in hot water now.
At the end of the day, how much of this estate will you be able to get for your client, Olivia?
We're asking for all of it.
All of
We're
it.
asking for the millions of dollars he has.
Drew Duffy, thank you for being with us here today. I appreciate it. And we'll, of course, keep you updated on this civil trial as news breaks. Now, here's a look at what else is coming up later on today's show.